The Mar-a-Lago summit has wrapped up and big things are happening. We have 6 predictions for the coming year that you probably didn't see on the horizon. And spoiler alert, only 5 of them are related to Israel's neighbors. Israel Undiplomatic is next.
Shalom and welcome to another episode of Israel Undiplomatic. I'm Mark Regev. I'm here with my regular co-host, Ruthie Bloom. How are you, Ruthie?
I'm pretty good, Mark. I'm very happy to be back in Israel, especially ahead of 2026.
Well, that's what we're doing today because it is New Year's Eve tonight in Israel. Me and Ruthie are doing a special edition. We've never done this before. We're going to make predictions for the coming year. Political predictions. And everyone will be invited to watch this 12 months from now to see if we got our predictions right or if we got our predictions wrong. Ruthie has 3 and I have 3. Shall I start, Ruthie?
Please.
So my first political prediction for 2026 is as follows. I think there'll be an Israeli-Syrian security deal in 2026. I think the leader of Syria, the interim president, Ashara, he needs that deal. He wants the security deal with Israel so he can consolidate his rule. I think the Turks want the deal because they want to consolidate his rule. I think Trump wants that deal because Trump has good relations both with Israel and with Turkey, and he'll do everything he can to get the deal. And I think if it's a good deal for Israel, Israel can do it too. It doesn't mean peace. There's not going to be peace between Israel and Syria, but there can be peace in the essence of peace in the absence of war. In other words, peace and quiet we can do. A security deal. We had a previous security deal with the Syrians that Kissinger negotiated in 1974, and actually it stood the test of time. It was there for some 5 decades. We could do a security agreement which would allow Israel to pull out of the area of southern Syria where we're in at the moment. It would limit the ability of the Syrian forces to go south. There would be a demilitarized zone in the southern part of Syria. It would protect Israel's friends from the Druze community that live in southern Syria. It would be an all-encompassing deal which would keep Israel's borders safe, keep the Israeli population of the Golan Heights safe, keep the Druze of southern Syria safe, and at the same time, allow the Syrians to consolidate on building their new post-Assad country. It's not a perfect solution, but I think in the framework of what we have, it's the best solution that there is, and indeed it's possible, and I think it's probable for 2025.
Well, Mark, I'm sorry to, pour water over your hot coals there, but it's not that I don't agree that a deal is perhaps imminent because President Trump really wants it, and Ashara wants to please President Trump. And Erdogan, the president of Turkey, wants to is on Trump's good side. That's the bad news about it, okay? Because those two are bad actors. Now, here's the thing. The Syrian army is made up, the new Syrian army is really, half of them are ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And, I don't think Ashara has changed his stripes at all. We know that Erdogan is still an anti-Semitic pro-jihad leader. But that doesn't mean we won't sign a deal. To say that it'll make Israel's northern border safer, I'm not so sure that I would like to see any Israeli troops moving away, or if they do, we have to be always at the ready. So yes, I would say your prediction is right that Israel is not going to go up against Trump, but and it's not just a peace, and I know that I never like to use the word peace in the Middle East until it's really final, if there is such a thing. But I'm not sure about the peace and quiet when you have actors openly attacking Israel, both literally and figuratively. So I'm really not optimistic about the Syrian border, but I think that, and also here's another thing, because we don't know who the next president of the United States is going to be, any deal that we sign, that Israel signs, has to take into account that we could have a very anti-Israel next president and not have Trump's protection. And at the moment we do, because whatever Trump says, I love Erdogan, I love Netanyahu, and I love Ashara. We know that he is protecting Israel's interests, but we don't know who's coming after him.
So, first of all, you didn't disagree with me that you thought it could well happen in 2026. Okay, so you accept my prediction, and we can debate whether it's good or bad. I would argue it's better than the alternative. And the alternative is, first of all, for Israel to stay long-term inside southern Syria. We had an incident a few weeks ago where Israeli soldiers were attacked, and if there was an arrangement where we could pull out and once again demilitarize, there'd be understandings reached, guaranteed by the United States of America, right? In other words, whatever you're doing something, there's a risk, I agree, but not doing something is also a risk. And I think the deal is probable precisely because Trump wants it, as I said, and because I think the Turks want it, the Syrians want it. And ultimately, it can serve Israel's interests if it's done properly.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next prediction. And it's relevant. Every prediction here is relevant to the previous one, right? And the reason I'm skeptical about all of this stuff is after the October 7th massacre, many people woke up to how asleep Israel had been, and because of what we call the conceptia about deterring Hamas, etc. Not that I ever held that conceptia. I did not. I never thought Hamas was deterred. I was against disengagement in 2005, etc. However, let's say that many, many smart and well-intentioned people believed this. So, but it makes us have to worry about the future, about the next October 7th that could be in the wings. And that is why I'm skeptical about this. And that brings me to a prediction about the ability to disarm Hamas. We saw at Mar-a-Lago, and President Trump said, he reiterated, didn't just say, he and Prime Minister Netanyahu reiterated that Hamas has to be disarmed and that the remaining hostage, the body of the remaining hostage, Ron Gvili, has to be returned to Israel. But we've been hearing this. We say it all the time. It's a mantra. Hamas, meanwhile, says, nope. Now, that doesn't mean Hamas is severely weakened thanks to a combination of Israeli military pressure and the Trump administration. We know that. It's severely weakened. But, it's like when you leave enough of a seedling, they're always ready to pop up more and more. We saw when there was heavy rains yesterday, and they affected Gaza too, was flooding. And a whole new huge terror tunnel was discovered by the IDF right going into Israel. So all I'm saying is we cannot count on anything or anybody else.
So what is your prediction?
So my prediction is they're not going to comply, and that we are going to have to go back and fight some more in Gaza.
So I agree with the first part of your prediction. Hamas will not comply. What terrorist organization has ever voluntarily gives up its weapons? Without its weapons, Hamas loses control over Gaza. And Hamas does not want to lose control over Gaza, and Hamas does not want to give up its jihad against the Jewish state. They're not suddenly going to become choir boys. Yes, that's not who Hamas is. We know who we're dealing with. And so you're right on that. Hamas will not voluntarily disarm. I think that's a good prediction. I can agree with that 100%. The question is, can Hamas be compelled against its will to disarm? And that all depends on us, on Israel, on the United States, and on Hamas's closest two friends in the Sunni Arab Muslim world, which are the Turks, who are Sunni Muslims and not Arabs, and the Qataris, who are Sunni Arabs who are Muslims as well. These two countries, for their own reasons, want to be on, as you said before when we talked about Syria, they want to be on President Trump's good side, and they cooperated with him in the deal that brought about the ceasefire arrangements. And can they put pressure on Hamas to get a deal where they are forced to disarm? I don't know. Maybe once again you'll need Israeli military pressure. Israel will have to strike. Israel will have to act like we're doing now in Lebanon, or we'll have to act at will to make sure that Hamas cannot raise its head again. That's a possibility. But I agree with your prediction. Hamas is not going to voluntarily disarm. It's not going to keep its commitment. And we heard President Trump at Mar-a-Lago say that if they don't keep their commitment to disarm, what did he say? All hell will break loose, or something of that sort in Trumpian English. There has to be a threat, and maybe that threat will have to be implemented.
But
And here, I hope there's pressure on Hamas's closest friends, Qatar and Turkey, from Washington, that when they say all hell, that it'll hurt their relations with the United States unless they put the necessary pressure on Hamas.
right. But again, the word pressure, I'm talking about guns. I'm talking about guns aimed at those terrorists. I'm talking about striking, including from the air, if necessary. And President Trump said something that I didn't agree with. He said, all these countries, we've got 54 countries. So, and if Hamas doesn't disarm, they're going to make them disarm. Baloney. The only country that can make or can try to make Hamas disarm is Israel. It's up to us, and we're the most closely affected by Hamas's being armed. And I think we're going to have no choice, and we're going to really have to, hopefully this won't cause conflict.
What we can both agree on is, of course, the so-called international force is not going to disarm Hamas.
No.
No one's going to send their soldiers into
Nobody.
into Gaza to disarm
Nope.
Hamas either. If it's going to be done militarily, it's going to have to be Israel.
Right. And what we have to hope, the best we can hope for, is that the so-called international forces will at least not get in our way by attacking us verbally and any other way. Okay? That's our biggest problem. I would always say, if you're not going to do it, at least allow us to do it. And I have to say, President Trump has been great in that respect, unlike President Biden before him. But, I don't trust the international community, so to speak. And that's all. So we're going to have to do it. Okay, so now what's your next prediction?
So the Regev second prediction is actually pessimistic. There was a while ago that I was more upbeat about the possibility of an Israeli-Saudi breakthrough. I thought that all the reasons were there for it to happen. I thought it was a Saudi interest, an Israeli interest, an American interest, and everyone, it was all going to work. And I have to tell you today, as we stand, I'm more pessimistic. And my prediction, I'm sorry to say, I'm not happy to say it, but I think it's today a correct analysis of the situation is that it's not going to be an Israel-Saudi breakthrough in 2026. I also noted how the leaders spoke at Mar-a-Lago. They say, of course, we want it, but the language they were using was much less, this is something that's going to happen anytime soon. It was like, this is our commitment and we want this to happen. And this is a goal we want to reach, yes, but it wasn't like this is about to happen anytime soon. It wasn't expressed either by Trump or by Netanyahu that this is something that is like on the cards in the near future. And I here want to blame the Americans a little bit. If there would have been a deal, it would be because the Saudis understood not only did they get the benefits of peace with Israel and normalization with Israel and all the cooperation that can give them, but it also would allow them to upgrade their relationship with the United States of America. And that was an important reason why they were going to do the deal. And it appeared to me on the last visit of the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who was in Washington, what was it, 2 months ago? He got a lot of goodies from America, a lot of upgrading in the relationship, military, political, defense commitment, and so forth. And he did all that without normalizing ties with Israel. And so the question is, if he can do all that without normalizing ties with Israel, so the motivation for him to normalize ties with Israel is, I would argue, less so. Now, is it possible that there's some secret deal that he made some promise to President Trump that he'll normalize ties and all this is like just payment in advance? I don't know. I hope it's true, but I haven't seen any indication of that at all. And so my prediction, unfortunately, is that for Israel-Saudi peace, it'll happen, but it's not going to happen, according to my prediction, in the next 12 months.
It's interesting. I agree with you, by the way. Also, what we know about Israel and Saudi relations is that there's been much has been going on behind the scenes. And not just since Trump took office. I mean, there's been that kind of quiet cooperation. We know that Saudi Arabia allowed Israel to use its airspace because the one thing we do have a common interest is in defeating the Iranian regime. But here's the thing about Saudi Arabia, and it reminds me of Egypt. Saudi Arabia, though you have a kingdom, okay, it's not a democracy with democratic elections. If the crown prince believes, and he's probably right to believe it, right, that if he doesn't come off as totally pro-Palestinian state and Israel, without a Palestinian state, there's never going to be normalization with Israel, because he says he needs it for his street, even though there are no elections. What he's afraid of, I guess, is being overthrown, right? I mean, if it's a kingdom, that's what you're afraid of. And if that is the sentiment in Saudi Arabia, which is if it's anti-Israel and pro-terrorist sentiment, Palestinian terrorist sentiment, then what you're going to have is something similar to Egypt, which is Egypt did sign an actual peace treaty with Israel decades ago, and yet remained, the whole populace of Egypt remained anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, allowed all kinds of weapons and building materials to go into Gaza, etc. So, if that's the kind of deal we're going to have with Saudi Arabia, I don't want it. And I just think it's very important not to constantly say, oh, MBS, he's just this modernizer, not so fast. That's my view. Okay, so now what's the next on our list that my next prediction is supposed to be? Let's say, you tell me.
You wanted to talk about Iran. Correct.
Now that's actually, it's a perfect segue, because I just mentioned that Saudi Arabia and Israel and all the Abraham Accords countries, by the way, have this in common, that the desire to defeat the Iranian regime because of its, and certainly its nuclear capabilities. But also, by the way, and President Trump added it this time, its ballistic missile capabilities, not just, in the past, he was talking about only nuclear weapons.
I spoke about that last week on the podcast. And I said, we Americans have made a commitment that won't allow Iran to move its nuclear program. And I said there was a certain question mark whether, because Israel has very real concerns about the ballistic missile program, I said I wasn't sure that was the American position.
Right.
But Trump made it the American position.
Not only that, what he said was, he answered a reporter's question and he said, ballistic missiles, yes, we'll definitely have to go after them. Nuclear, fast, we'll go after them immediately.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So he was very clear about that, about all of the weapons. But here's the good news about Iran. What he said is, if we have to, we'll strike. I mean, he said something like, we'll hit the hell out of it.
You're not making a prediction.
Wait, give me a minute. I'm making a prediction. He said, something like, we'll strike the hell out of them. Now, what is happening in Iran? My prediction is that by the end of 2026, the regime will fall. Of course, it sounds like it's way too optimistic, but the reason I think so is that if President Trump is willing to engage in another military operation with Israel, in some fashion with Israel, I don't think by itself. Israel would definitely be part of it, while Iranians are taking to the streets. Listen, it's not the first time Iranians have taken the streets to protest the regime, but this time is different. Why? Because many different sectors are taken to the streets. There are the bazaar, the merchants. There's chaos. The rial has plummeted. There's no water. Well, now there's snow, but they had a terrible drought. They had terrible power outages. They really are in dire straits, and the Iranian people are fed up. They're also disgusted with the fact that their regime that always gunned them down in the streets and made the women, wear hijabs and all that. But not only that, is that they're willing to spend their last nickels, so to speak, on weapons and on spending money on terrorism around the world when their own people are suffering so badly. So I believe that there is going to be another military operation that, coupled with the people in the streets, I think is going to bring down the regime. And by the way, it's the first time we've heard the Mossad directly on social media say, we're with you, to the people of Iran. We're with you, not only in spirit, we're also on the ground. Now, you and I both know it was likely we had Mossad agents on the ground, but that was all sort of, we assumed it. And we know because of certain, operations that couldn't have happened without that. But they're saying it. The Mossad's announcing it. So I believe that by the end of 2026, the Iranian regime will fall?
I hope that you are correct. What is interesting, what do all authoritarian, despotic regimes have in common? That they live off the fear of the people. It's like Machiavelli said very famously, I think in the time of the Renaissance or the pre-Renaissance, that as a leader, it's better to be feared than loved. He said it's better to be both, but if you have to choose, it's better to be feared. And authoritarian regimes stay in power because their people fear them. They fear that if they speak out, something will happen to them. They fear the violent retribution of an authoritarian regime. And what happened last year in the 12-day war between Israel and Iran, and then with the United States coming in and helping finish the job, is the regime was exposed as being weak. And that's the worst thing that can happen to an authoritarian regime that needs the fear of its power to stay in power. And then you add that with all the economic problems that you've spoken about, whether it's the currency that's fallen, through the floor, whether it's the shortages of water, whether it was the shortages of foodstuffs, whether it's the shortages of power generation, the people of Iran, and it should be one of the richest countries in the world, right? It's got all these, oil reserves and so forth. And it's a poor country because it's being mismanaged by a group of thugs who prefer to spend money on Hamas and Hezbollah than on hospitals in Tehran. That's the bottom line. So I believe it's possible. We've had, as you said correctly, there have been popular outbursts against the government, demonstrations. We saw it recently with the hijabs. Before that, we saw it after they tried to fix elections in a too obvious way. They always fix their elections, but in an overly obvious way. We've seen it in the past, but maybe now the combination of people power, genuine economic stress inside Iran, serious economic suffering, together with the regime being exposed as weak. I think that's a combination that could lead to regime change. It has to come from the Iranian people. But I think that's a combination that wasn't there a while ago. With that, one word of caution. Other despotic regimes fall or have fallen historically because the army saw itself as part of the people and wouldn't shoot demonstrators in the streets. The Iranian regime has its Waffen-SS or its KGB. It has the Revolutionary Guards who will shoot indiscriminately people in the streets. They can do a bloodbath. Unlike, let's say, when Egypt had its revolution, the army refused to shoot the demonstrators. And so that's my one word of caution, that this regime, though it lacks legitimacy, does it have enough loyal cadres, yes, loyal supporters who are willing to pull the trigger and actually massacre thousands, tens of thousands of people in the street.
Okay, so it's interesting you point that out because I was going to say that I predict that many Revolutionary Guards are going to defect. The reason I predict that is, all these years, very many Middle East experts whom I really admire and who've proven right again and again, one of the things they said about the regime is that if the West attacks the regime in any fashion or attacks the nuclear facilities, that the Iranian people will rally around the regime. And this was one of the fears of the West or of Israel as well. We don't want to poke the bear too much because rather than helping the Iranian people, all it'll do, it won't work. I believe that after these strikes, Israeli and American strikes on the facilities, what we saw is it didn't happen. The people did not rally around the regime. They saw it was weak. You're absolutely right. The regime was exposed as weak. But the people didn't rally around the regime because their own personal conditions by this point were so bad. So I also predict that there will be defections from the besieged militias and the Revolutionary Guard.
I hope that's true. And it's also, it's quite possible that the populace blames the regime, its policies of supporting terrorism and a nuclear program. And they're saying, of course, the Americans and the Israelis are going to do something, right? To what extent do the Iranians, right, understand that the reason they're getting attacked is because of the policies of their government? My last, and for this year, final prediction, I'm going to say something that is good, but maybe it is good. I'm going to predict that in 2026, there will not be a major Israel-Lebanon war, as we've seen. I say that not because I think Hezbollah will disarm. Hezbollah is supposed to disarm. The Lebanese government is supposed to be doing it. That's clear that that's not happening. Like Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon does not want to disarm. That's clear. And it's clear the Lebanese government is afraid to take on Hezbollah, and what they're doing is very, very little, if anything at all. But I still think there will not be a major war because Israel will continue to do what we're doing, which is to hit Hezbollah targets in Lebanon with the support of the United States and even others in the Arab world and even some of the Europeans, saying we can keep hitting Hezbollah and because they haven't disarmed. The Lebanese government will take small steps because it has to show it's doing something against Hezbollah to disarm Hezbollah. But basically, I'm saying more of the same in Lebanon, but not all-out war. More of the same, Israeli strikes against armed Hezbollah positions when they're making their missiles, where they're storing their munitions against their senior commanders. We have the legitimacy to do so because Hezbollah was supposed to disarm and they haven't. The Lebanese government, this will prod Lebanese government to do more than they have been, but it still won't be enough. And so I say, my prediction, 2026, Lebanon, Israel, more of the same.
You know what? I agree with that. As long as it is more of the same, I can live with that, by the way. As long as we keep firing as soon as we see a terrorist or terrorist infrastructure, and we remain in the places we are stationed in Lebanon to guarantee that. Okay, so now my last prediction has to do not with the neighborhood, but with Israel itself. We have entered an election year in Israel. All right. And we can see how there are people forming parties or trying to, or, feeling the way the winds are blowing to decide whether to join one party or another or to create a new party. And so, and there are polls, and interestingly, on the left-wing channels, the polls say that the opposition is going to sweep the elections and oust Netanyahu, and the right-wing channel has polls saying the opposite. Okay, I predict that when there's an election, that Netanyahu and the Likud party, Netanyahu will still head the Likud party. I mean, he will be elected again as head of Likud and will garner the most votes in that election yet again. Then the only question that remains, and here I'm not sure, and here I'll ask your opinion, whether that means that there will be enough of the what we call the coalition members, or Netanyahu's current government, whether he'll be able to form a government easily or not, or whether we will hit another impasse as we had several election cycles where neither side is able. But I do predict he will win the Likud primary and the general election.
So winning the general election means he has to be able to form a government. I mean, if he can't, it doesn't matter if he's the largest party. If he doesn't have 61 members of the Knesset, then he has.
No, I meant win. I meant that Likud will come out the strongest party and that he will head it. The question is whether he will be able to form a government.
So I don't think, if you don't mind me saying, Ruthie, that's not much of a prediction, because even the polls and the left-wing stations that are the most critical always have the Likud as the largest party more than anyone else, right? Even they might have him in the low 20s, but he's still larger than everyone else, right? There hasn't been a poll for ages that has had Bennett ahead of Netanyahu. So I think that's a very safe bet. The real question is, will Netanyahu be able to form a government?
And what do you think?
So I want to say the following. First of all, it's going to be very close, and it'll depend on all sorts of things. Will there be a party on the right that doesn't pass the threshold and votes are wasted? Will the Arab parties unite or not unite? Because there were 3 Knesset seats that were wasted because one of the Arab parties went alone and they didn't pass the cutoff and they wasted votes, right? So you could have a perfect storm if the votes are lost on the right and votes on the other side are made. Votes that were previously lost, yes, it can change reality, right? What's going to happen? I would ask the following question, okay? You're always talking about the left, what they call in Israel the Kaplanistim who hate Netanyahu, okay? They hated Netanyahu last time, and Netanyahu got 64 seats in this coalition, which means he was 3 above what he needed, okay? My prediction is that for Netanyahu to win and to form a government, he only needs to get the people who voted for him last time to vote for him again. Once again, the people who hated him, who didn't vote for him last time, he doesn't need them. He only needs the people who voted for him 3 years ago. And I think from his point of view, that is doable. Would I bet my house on it? My savings that are the inheritance of my children? No, I would not, yes? Because elections, only in Syria under Assad did they know the election results before elections happen. But I think, to use an American saying, yes, it's Netanyahu's to lose. Once again, remember this. The people out there, and they're always being interviewed on the media, both Israeli and international, the people who say enough of Netanyahu, they were against Netanyahu 3 years ago, right? All he has to do to win is to get the same people to vote for him who voted for him in the past. And demographically, so there are more in the ultra-Orthodox camp who are voting because they are, but there are also more Arabs who vote for the other side. So that sort of evens itself out in many ways. I remember immediately after the 7th of October, people said political toast, right? How he was Mr. Security, and that he'd let the country down, and there was this terrible massacre on his watch, and most people thought that was it. His political career was behind him. But over the last, 3 years, he's slowly but surely notched his way back up. And once again, he's not only competitive, I think it's for him, it's his race to lose.
Oh, I totally agree. But by the way, it's true that we thought, it's true now also, the anti-Netanyahu camp constantly stresses how he never took responsibility for October 7th and that he was the prime minister, and therefore he has responsibility no matter how many of the others all believed in the conceptia that led to October 7th. But what we've seen is we all agree with that. Okay, he was prime minister. But the question is what he did after October 7th and since October 7th. And many, many people say, wow, without him, even Trump said it at Mar-a-Lago, without him, it's Israel that would have been toast. And so that is how he has survived and thrived. That's how, not by accident.
Yes.
So
I would also, I asked the following question, and I look at the other people who want to be prime minister, and we know their names, and asked the following question: when the Israeli government went against the Biden administration and said we're going into Rafah nevertheless, and we were told by the Americans, don't do it, right? Retrospectively, definitely the right decision. Netanyahu took it, right? If you look at the decision to take out Nasrallah, a very controversial decision. Inside Israel, there were different debates. Netanyahu took the decision. No doubt it was a game changer. Would another prime minister have made the same decision? Going and initiating the 12-day war with Iran, which was a great Israeli success in the end. The Americans joined in too, right? Would another Israeli prime minister have asked permission of the White House to do it first? What would the White House have said? Right? And so I think that's one of the reasons, yes, that Netanyahu how he's acted since October 23. He has fought his way back politically. We have made, you and me, 6 predictions. 3 you've made, 3 I've made. We could be wrong on all. We could be right on some. We'll have to wait till next year. But until then, I wish you and all our viewers and listeners a very happy new year. May 2026 be a year of success, of peace, of prosperity.
Yes, Happy New Year. And we can also add to our Christian viewers, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.